Hello, this is Mr. Turek, and today I'm going to show you how to do selective blur. I have a photo right here of this girl in front of a flower garden, and we're going to blur the background and leave her in focus. So first things first, you're going to open Photoshop. You can go to the Start menu, scroll down and click on Adobe Photoshop, or if you have a shortcut on your taskbar, click on that. Once Photoshop's open, you're going to go to Open on the Start menu, or you can go File, Open, and then navigate your way to the photo. Let's see here. Where is it? Where is it? Depth of field, selective blur. There we are. Alright, so I have my image. I'm going to click Open. Alright, when your photo is open, you're going to copy this layer. To do that, you're going to go to your Move tool. Move tool is at the top of your toolbox. You can also hit the V key to switch to your Move tool. And then you're going to go over here to your Layer panel. And what you're going to do is you're going to double click on the background layer. And it's going to make it a regular layer. And then you're going to click and drag that layer down to the New Layer button to copy it. When you let go over the New Layer button, that copies that layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to select her in this layer. We're going to mask out the background. So to enter the Select and Mask mode, you can go to Select, Select and Mask, or you can hit Alt-Control-R. When you're in Select and Mask mode, you're going to go to the Quick Mask option, the Quick Selection option, sorry. The Quick Selection tool is this top tool on the left. And essentially you're just going to use it to click and drag over the person you want to select. For me it's the girl, so I'm going to kind of click and drag on her and make sure I don't touch any of the background. It might take a while for Photoshop to process it. Any areas you miss, just keep clicking and dragging to add those to your selection. If you need to zoom in, hold down Control and then plus. And then to move around your document, use the space bar. If you hit the space bar, that'll toggle to your hand tool. And then you can use that to sort of navigate around and sort of add more to your selection. Alright, for complicated areas like the hands, we're going to switch to the brush tool. And what the brush tool is going to do is it's going to allow us to paint exactly along the edge here and add these fingers to our selection. If we want, we can switch to Subtract, and that's going to allow us to paint parts of our selection that we don't want. We can even paint little gaps like this away from our selection. And then we can switch to the plus tool and paint our corners. Continue to paint back and forth. When you get to complicated areas like the hair, you're going to switch to the Refine Edge Brush tool. This is a great tool for complicated areas like the hair. So if you click on that tool, you can go up to the options here, and you can increase the size. We're going to make it a little bit larger here. And anywhere you click inside the selection, it's going to add these outer edges to your selection, and what it's going to ignore is these darker parts. It's just going to keep these light gray parts. So if I click and drag over on the hair here, it's going to refine this and add that to the selection. Alright, once you're done messing around with your selection, you can go to these edge detection tools, and you can use like a Smart Radius edge detection. And that can sort of help refine your selection a little bit. You can use a little bit of the feather here, turn that up. When you're all done, you're going to go to the output settings, and you're going to output these to a layer mask. Because what we're doing is we're masking her, and we're going to adjust the background layer. So click on Layer Mask and Output To, and click OK. Alright, so we're going to blur our background layer. Before we do that, we're going to make sure it's active, and we're going to convert it to a smart object. So we're going to go Layer, Smart Objects, Convert to Smart Object. this is going to protect it from the edits we're going to make with the blur filter, and it's going to allow us to change our blur filter if we don't like it. Alright, now we're ready to add a blur to the background. So with the background layer still active, it's now a smart object. We can go to Filter, Blur Gallery, and we're just going to do a field blur. Okay, and the way a field blur works is pretty simple. You have a little pin here. We can move this pin wherever we want. Let's move it back here. And then if we hover outside the pin, we can increase the blur or decrease the blur. I'm going to increase it just a little bit here. And then I'm going to add another pin over here. And over here, I'm going to decrease the blur. So now it looks like this is in focus and that's out of focus. And you can tell some of the hair is a little bit blurry because our mask was a bit off, but we can always adjust that later. When you're done with your blur, click OK. And then if you need to adjust anything, you can always double click on the blur gallery down here to open that back up. And we could add more blurs, or we could adjust our blur by clicking on the blur pin and turning it up. Clicking OK confirms it. We can also click on our layer mask in the layer panel, and the properties panel will open up. And under that we have the option to return to selective mask. And from here we can adjust our mask as much as we want, using the exact same tools as before. So we got a little bit of the hair in here and we don't want that, so let's just paint that away. I'm going to turn up my brush here. When I'm happy with it, I click OK. And you can see we edited just a little bit of the edge here. You can always go back there and refine that a bit more, but for the most part, it's alright. It's doing its job. And that's how you make a selective blur. When you're all done, make sure you save the file as a JPEG. Go to File, Save As. Change the file type to JPEG. Give it a different name or a different number, and then click Save. When this pops up, click OK.